In this video, I'm going to show you how to speed up your color grading when you work with different timeline cutdowns in a specific project. I grabbed these clips from ArtGrid as an example to show you this technique. Let's imagine this is our 30-second commercial or project. I went ahead and added basic grading. So just contrast and saturation. In this video, I'm not going to go through node trees and CSTs and all of that stuff. So I just manually added some color to it. And now I'm going to show you this technique that I always use. This is our 30-second commercial. We went through it. We are happy. The client's happy. And now we want to export. But maybe you have a 15-second cut down, a 10-second cut down, a 6-second cut down, or maybe even another timeline using the same clips in your project. There are different ways of copying over that grade to those clips. So this is our main project timeline, our 30-second ad. I created a fake 6-second and a 10-second. So this would be our 10-second one. And this is our 6-second one. As you can see, the only one that's graded is our 30-second commercial. Now what you can do is you can go old school and copy over clip by clip. But this is bad. But I'll show you can still do it, but it's just not the way to do it. So I have my Stream Deck. My shortcut is save memory 1, which copies over this. I'm going to go to my 10-second cut down. I'm going to go paste. Now this is exactly the same as my 30-second commercial, but there's a few problems with this. A, let's say you have 50 clips. Are you going to manually do that for every single cut down? And B, what if you want to make a change on this clip and you have 10 other cut downs? You have to manually go through all of them again and copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And even if you can do that, you are going to make a mistake. This is the technique that I use. Very important. This technique only works if you're working in the same project and you have different timeline cut downs using the same clips. If you want to copy over a grade from a different project, you're going to use something that's called color tracing, which is not what we're going to talk about right now. What we're talking about right now is called remote grades. So you got your 30-second commercial here. 1, 2, 3, 4. What you're going to do is you are going to select all your clips. You're going to left click and you're going to say copy local grades to remote. Now you'll see what happened here. Usually we are grading in local versions here, but now we moved everything to remote. I'm going to go to my 10-second cut down. I'm going to open my color page. I'm going to select all of them and I'm going to say use remote grades. Now Davinci is smart enough to know this clip and the grade you did here should also go to your 10-second cut down because it's the same clip. Same clip, same clip. We'll go to the 6-second cut down and we'll do exactly the same. Select them, left click, and we say use remote grades. Now all of your shots are matching to the original. Now what you can do is really cool is that all of them are linked now. All of these clips are linked. So if I make a change in this one now, it's automatically going to make a change in my other timelines. And I'll show you. I'm going to take the offset and I'm going to push it into magenta. I'm going to go to my 10-second cut down. And what you're going to see is a guy on the bike is still magenta. This saves tons of time. If in the main project you have to make small tweaks, it ripples over to all the other timelines. And the last thing that's really nice about this is let's say you have 10 cut downs, right? And in all 10, you have purple. But maybe one timeline, you don't want it to have purple. Maybe you want it to have a bit of a different hue. Maybe there's different clips before and after, and you want to change it. But like we just talked about, if you change one, you change all of them. But there's a way to get around that. If I right click here, you can see it's remote grade. And our bike guy on our 10 seconds, it's also remote. But if you go to a specific timeline and you say, you know what, for this timeline, I don't want this clip to be remote. For this timeline, I want this clip to be local. So you go copy remote to local. Now if you left click here, you'll see it's not the remote version anymore. It's the local version. And if I change it here to Hulk green, I go back to my main one, which is the 30-second cut down. You'll see it did not affect this because this is still in the remote. All the remote is linked and all the local is individual. Hopefully this will help you speed up your color grading. I know it has saved me many hours, and this technique has been an absolute lifesaver.